It's time for more Manifesting Original Rich-Bixch Experiences. I'm your host, Ava Beilke. Welcome back to the More Pod. I hope you are doing super well. It's that time of year again, and what I mean is it is summertime. I don't know about you, but summer is my favorite season. So obviously, whenever we switch seasons, we have to do a deep dive on the astrology so that we know everything that's coming up, what we can expect for the summer, how we can best navigate it, how we can thrive, and how we can really manifest Rich-Bixch experiences all summer long. And obviously, I needed to call in the professionals to help me do this. As much as I love astrology, I always make sure that I'm tapping into the best of the best to give us the most accurate and most insightful information when it comes to looking at the astrology of summer. And so today we are going to go through a 3-month astrology guide covering summer in the Northern Hemisphere from June 20th to September 22nd, 2025. And I'm inviting KJ Atlas back to the podcast. If you're new here, she is our resident astrologer. She is a professional astrologer of business, location, and love. And she's also my best friend. So this is super exciting for me. KJ is going to give us the rundown of everything important we need to know, the astrology of the season, so we can stop fighting, start flowing, and manifest Rich-Bixch experiences. So, KJ Atlas, welcome back to the More Pod.
Hi, bestie Ava.
Hi.
We're matching today in our summer florals and pastels.
Our summer mesh. Meshes for summer, and I'm very excited about that. You look lovely.
It actually fits with the summer once we get into it.
Does it?
Yeah, I think mesh is going to be the style of the summer. Let's.
Okay, I love it.
You saw it here first.
Right off the bat, just hot predictions.
Yeah.
Mesh for summer. I got it. This is so fun, and I'm glad that you're back in person. We had a little remote moment, and it worked, but selfishly, it's just not as fun. So
I agree.
Thank you for joining me back in the studio.
I'm happy. I'm happy to be here.
Yay! I want to start off like we usually do and just do a bit of a recap of spring, because I think it's really important not to just like look at the astrology, but then to kind of reflect and see like, how did like that go for us? Like what did come up? Like what was true? What was helpful? What wasn't?
Yeah.
I know that we are not fully through spring because we're recording a little bit early, but I don't know about you. I feel like I had a healthy dose of whatever the fuck that was.
Oh, God.
What would you say?
Oh, well, by the time you listen to this, let's say the breakups that you'll hear about in May and June in the celebosphere probably happened during that damn Venus retrograde in March and April.
Was anyone marked safe from the Venus retrograde? Because I personally was not.
I don't know anyone who made it through completely unscathed, to be honest. I didn't have any casualties personally, but most people in my orbit did.
Yeah. Let's just say I went into the Venus retrograde in partnership and I came out on the other side single.
I like it over here better.
But I feel like that was what I was hearing from everybody. Like everyone I was talking to, whether it was themselves personally or like their close friend circle, like multiple like divorces, breakups, all sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah, I feel like the first day I walked into my yoga class, my yoga teacher was like, my boyfriend and I broke up. We're separating. And I was like, oh, okay. You guys were talking about your next dog like last week. It just kind of seems sudden. And honestly, this is what this period's for. It clears out what isn't meant for the long run. I'm sorry for your casualty. I'm sorry for anyone else's. But it's going to be better. I promise it's going to be better. Just hang in there. And, you know, it's summertime. We can have a hot girl summer. You can always have a hot girl summer.
That's true. I mean, that is sort of the silver lining. It's like single girl summer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For everyone who did not survive the Venus retrograde, single girl summer.
Single girl summer. And there was a lot of other things, too. Like, you might be having unemployed summer. You might be having I'm kind of between places summer because everything in my life started falling apart in March and April. So it isn't just love. Like a lot of things maybe didn't make the cut. And I always say, for those kind of periods, just let it wash things away. Let it wash it away. It didn't need to be there. It wasn't built for continuous many years down the road. It's okay. Some things are just for a season.
There you go. So that was a big one for spring.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly. Like, I think March was probably the most intense month of the entirety of 2025.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't need to do that again personally.
Yeah, I think we have some time.
So that was a big one for me. And then I was like, well, what was like really nice and positive about my spring? And I will say that I feel like I really thrive just in Taurus season in general. Like I have Taurus placements. I got like a beautiful pink couch during Taurus season.
Y'all, it's so nice.
It's so cute. It's so cute. We found it together in Palm Springs. That felt very just like, it felt very nice. And so I've also been in this sort of like grounding, like decorating, kind of like indulgent moment. So I'm like, you know what? That's my little silver lining for spring.
Yeah, I had some silver linings too. I think Taurus season and Gemini season are always my favorite times of the year. I was born on May 21st. I always thought I was a Taurus. I'm like in that middle point.
Yeah.
It's just the best time. It was the best time in school when you're like almost out of school and you're doing things on the weekends. And as an adult, you're like, oh, spring's really here. The weather's nicer. Let's have beach days, pool days. I live for this season. And it really just, all I need is sunshine to get me up out of whatever the hell that was.
Yeah.
And so things started moving forward, launched some new programs. I was like, okay, I'm finally productive again. I'm out of my polar bear hibernation.
Yeah. I bet that feels good.
Yeah. And now we're in summer.
And now we're in summer.
Which is also so fun. But there's a lot of big changes coming this summer.
Are there? Okay, well, let's start with summer at a glance. Highest level, what's it giving? What's the flavor? What can we expect?
I'm calling this summer. So yeah, last year we had Brat summer.
Yes, we sure did.
That was a really good one.
I love Brat summer.
That was a good one. We're in a different state of the world. We're in a different timeline, you know?
Yeah. Although Brat summer is forever. But
energetically, I've come up with a new one for this year.
What is it?
And just before I say it, I'm not condoning this. I'm just saying this is what we are given and we have to work with it.
Okay.
However we see fit. Okay, here we go. Manic Pixie Tradwife.
No.
I know.
Manic Pixie Tradwife summer?
Yeah.
No.
For those of you who don't speak TikTok, Manic Pixie Tradwife feels like a duality of feral wild girls. I think that part's going to be fun. Navigating this sort of Cancerian traditional prairie dress to the bar bullshit. And you know what? I am here for it. Let some crusty old man buy your drink. Benefit from this junk. And wear your cheetah print bodysuit at the same time.
Oh my God.
Be the manic pixie dream girl, benefiting from Tradwife experiences. But don't fall victim. Don't go down the slide. Don't like it too much.
Just for 3 months.
Just for 3 months.
Okay. We're going to have to say more because I can't really see how the Tradwife blends with that.
It doesn't.
Pixie
That's the
girl.
thing. We're dealing with these two very different energetic identities that are sort of this collective storm. Like, I'm from the South. You know, when it's been cold and all of a sudden you get this heat wave, you get a storm. And this duality is kind of like that. It creates this storm of here's what we're working with. Oh, and then there's this surge of oppositional energy. There's so much of that this summer, this oppositional sort of stirring the pot, cyclone, unexpected what's going to happen, which I think is the manic pixie part, which is like, oh, that's kind of fun and exciting. Like, oh, are we switching from cigarettes to vapes? Like, are we kind of like fully saying like, fuck it? Maybe we are. While also navigating this Jupiter Cancer homemaker's dream landscape. Wow. You know, it's a weird place to be. And I'm like, what's going to be my archetype for this summer? You know, how are we navigating that? How are we still manifesting original Rich-Bixch experiences while the world's kind of closing in on us and the ability to do that.
I mean, you and I talk a lot about just like creating and living our own bubbles.
Yeah.
Sounds like it could be maybe a good time for that.
Yeah. Barbie bubble.
Barbie bubble. Protection. Zoom. Okay. Well, that, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting that as the rebrand of summer 2025.
It's kind of like, it's just, you know, when you have something in mind and you're like, yeah, I really want to go get that thing. Like if you ever have a craving, it's like, you're not going to go get your craving food, but you might end up with something that's like, oh, I didn't really expect that, but it's good, right? We're going to work with it because if there's anything about me as a mutable person, we're adaptable. We will figure out ways to work with it. And personally, this kind of nostalgic traditional energy is coming from Jupiter Cancer. And that's not a bad placement. I mean, we're both going to benefit from it, from our own charts. I think a lot of people will.
Okay.
It's giving domestic. You bought a pink couch.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be, we don't have to go full Nara Smith, you know? We can be single ladies in a studio with a cute pink couch.
Like I don't have to cook. I can still DoorDash to my couch.
Yeah. That's how we Manic Pixie Tradwife.
Perfect. Okay.
DoorDash at 12 in the morning. Sit on the pink crushed velvet couch.
And live your best life to the extent possible. Okay. Well then, with that in mind, let's get into the specifics of summer. What is the key astrology? Let us know the big ones, how we can work with them. Obviously, the first things first, though, summer solstice.
Yeah.
June 20th.
That's a fun one.
Tell us about that.
I think it just doesn't get as much attention as it should. We celebrate winter solstice around Christmas, Hanukkah, and all those holidays.
Yeah.
And that solstice also gets sort of swept in with that, but at least we're still kind of in the celebratory mode. Summer solstice just kind of happens. But our ancestors loved it as this time of bonfires and parties and feasts and, can we say orgies on here? Because that was totally happening. You know what's so funny? An old witch told me a trick to do at the summer solstice.
And?
I can't confirm or deny if this works.
Okay.
But, you know, as Gabby Windey says, you know, you do the thing and then you think about your manifestation at the right time. But the magic here is that you do that at the summer solstice for real manifestation benefits. Like when the sun is out on the longest day of the year. So like I said, I cannot confirm or deny and I won't. But if that sounds like your type of rodeo, give it a try. Let us know if your manifestation comes true, you know?
Yeah. Okay. This sounds fun. Okay.
It's the longest day of the year. Spend time outside.
It is the longest day of the year.
Do something in the sun. Get a little burned.
Just tad.
Yeah, just a tad.
Have some aloe on hand. It's like free blush.
It's free blush. Tariff-free blush. You don't have to buy anything.
Oh my God. I'm like, immediately, I'm just getting the sense that summer is going to be a shit show.
I think it will be a shit show in the way that, like, your freshman year of college is a shit show. You know, like, it's not March, guys. It's not.
Like, in a fun way.
Yeah.
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 Okay. So summer solstice, other things that we could do that we can confirm on air.
Oh, yeah. Rituals. Work with fire. Light candles in a safe way. I think this is a great time to have a dinner party, personally. Like a garden party, have people over, light a fire, do some kind of ritual where you all like put down a wish or a manifestation and throw it in the fire, not to burn it, but to purify it with the flames and honor the sun.
Okay.
You know, there's really no right or wrong way, but I think life can be a lot more fun if we start romancing our life with these little mini holidays that we've kind of forgotten about. And you don't have to do the consumer's version of holidays. You know, we're like, Hallmark junk, the Valentine's Day stuff. You don't have to do that. Like, you can do so many other things. Be creative. We're losing that with AI and social media. Like, we're losing that creative piece. And so that's my advice, is use these kind of dates to be creative. And it's like, how can I celebrate the sun and the light and the vastness of the day and the people around me? Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, creativity is such a good call. I feel like it's always the first thing to kind of go.
Yeah.
Like, whenever you're stressed or whenever you're focused on something specifically, like work-wise or personal-wise, it's like, it's so easy to lose sight of that.
You can't be creative when you're in survival mode. And a lot of our generation is, and beyond. But I think we've been in the survival mode for a really long time. And so you kind of have to work harder to get into your creative spaces.
Yeah, and that's why I think the call-out's so great, because it's like, whenever I hear that reminder, I'm like, yeah, I know, that's me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, summer, it's a good time to be creative.
Yeah, I think if anything, this summer is giving less serious. So it might be a little, you said shit show, sure, but it is kind of less serious. Like, we're kind of dealing with these playful, youthful energies of Gemini and Leo and Cancer, and I think there's something poetic about that, of like, just shake it off. Let the sun burn it down.
Yeah. I feel like I've been seeing like a lot of rhetoric lately on the internet about just like, life is not that serious.
Yeah.
So this kind of like feeds into that, where it's like, let's just have a little fun.
Yeah.
And stop taking everything so damn seriously.
Every year, everyone says, this is going to be the end of the world. And you know what? We're still here.
That's true.
We're still here. So
I feel like I'm the one that says that at least once a week. I'm like, we are living in the beginning of the end of the world.
I think you do, but
I can't help it.
Sometimes I do too, followed by a cackle, because it's like, what are we going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Keep living. Yeah. Okay. So summer solstice, that sounds great. The next thing we have on our list of notable astrology moments for the summer is Chiron retrograde.
Yes, this is like muy pequeño in the whole grand scheme of things.
Okay.
So I won't spend too much time on it.
Okay.
But basically the outer planets, and Chiron is an asteroid that I include in those outer planets and work with in one-on-one natal astrology. In the grand transits of it all, I don't really pay that much attention to it. But I will say, anytime a planet goes retrograde, an outer planet, it's going to be that way for like 5 months. So don't look at it as like, oh my God, we're in this retrograde period. Like, I need to pause. No, it's just a day or two when it stations or unstations.
Okay.
And so Chiron is the wounded healer. It brings up those inner child wounds, kind of makes things a little sticky and sensitive. And so that's going to be on July 30th. The retrograde lasts until January 2nd, but please don't go through your October and be like, oh, Chiron's retrograde. Like, it's not like that.
Yeah.
Just note those days and be like, those are the days I might feel a little bit more tender. Maybe I do plant medicine. Maybe I go on a retreat. Maybe I book a therapy session. Like, whatever your brand of nurturing your psychological soul is, do that on that day. So July 30th and the days around it.
Okay. Like a couple days at either side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Little inner child hug.
That's cute.
It is cute.
I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one sounds easy.
That's easy. No big deal.
And then what's less easy?
Okay. Well, there's a couple things that are happening this summer that are unique to summers past. Unique to our lifetimes, truly.
Okay.
Unique to summers past. Let's talk about Jupiter.
Okay.
Jupiter is the planet that gives us the zeitgeist. What's the fashion? What's the trends? What's the mood of the moment? What is the youth telling us is cool? So we just had Jupiter in Gemini from May of 2024 to June 9th, 2025.
Okay.
Gemini was all about communications, duality, division. It's been a stimulated, frenetic mess when it comes to the fast-paced era of trends, communications. I saw something the other day that said like a drive-by comment. And I mean, I get a lot of those in my line of work, but Jupiter Gemini really brought that up to a level 11. where people are just like, you're insane, you're a scammer, and it's a drive-by because there's no consequences to the person who says that. And there's also like really no consequence to the hurt of me. Like, it doesn't bother me, but it's also just like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
This is a product of Jupiter Gemini. And I feel like we've gone through trends so quickly where it's like, this week it's cowgirl autumn and next week it's blueberry summer. And I'm like, what?
Like, we haven't even gotten the definition out before it switches.
Everything's moving too quickly.
Yeah.
Everyone's overstimulated. It's getting chronically online. And the good news is I think Jupiter moving into Cancer, because the difference between these two signs is it does not function well in Gemini. It's like kind of splitting off into forks and just going in all the different directions, and it's not very cohesive.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Jupiter in Gemini prepares us for the goodness of Jupiter in Cancer. So you're a Jupiter Cancer person, so it's your Jupiter return. So if you are the ages, around the ages 12, 24, 36, 45, 54, 63, or 72.
I'm 12.
If you're 12 and you're listening to this, or you're 72 and listening to this, I love you. Anyway, if you're around that age, you probably are having your Jupiter return, which is a big, expansive period. I call it life lubrication. You want to ride that pony. I started my business during my Jupiter return. I was like, let's go. You just got to dive in and go for it. It's kind of like your shoot your shot moment, your be ballsy, grab life by the horns, do the thing. That's more personal. Now, the Jupiter in Cancer is going to give us the flavor of the trends. That's the Tradwife part of the Manic Pixie Tradwife.
Got it.
I am a Cancer moon and I love Cancer things. Like, I'm going to bake focaccia in a non-fascist way. Like, I'm going to bake bread. I'm going to do all those things. Like, I love homemaking. I love hosting.
Yeah.
And I think all of those things are going to become much trendier than they already are. We're going to see prairie dresses at the bar. We're going to see those coastal neutrals, coastal grandma coming back. All those things that are buttery and white and cream and denim and pure, and like Lana Americana is so Cancer, How much more do I need to describe, Like, that's kind of the vibe we're working with, is like this sort of Cancer's a sign of nostalgia. And so we can romanticize, the 50s and be like, oh, cute, Coca-Cola, diner, yes, sock hops. But there's also a lot of things about the 50s that we really don't need to go back to. And that's the thing we have to kind of think about when we're in these sort of social cycles of which parts do we want to amplify?
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. And so this lasts for a year then?
It
roughly?
does, yeah, about a year, about 12 months.
Okay. And it starts when exactly?
June 9th.
Okay. All right.
So we're very in it. We're very in it from June all the way through next year. One thing you could do is to go back and think about what was going on in your life June 25th of 2013 to July 16th of 2014. So that was the last time that we had Jupiter in Cancer.
Okay.
So what's fun to do is look back at the music, look back at the fashion. What was the zeitgeist back then? What was going on? What was everyone talking about?
Look back at the camera roll.
Yeah, if you have that.
If you're brave. Yeah, okay. Do you, when you say dates like that, are you able to like pinpoint what you were doing at that time? I'm not the kind of person that can do that. Like, I really have to study. I feel like that's such a cool flex.
Well, I think that's why I do this work, is because my brain is just one large calendar of like milestones, and having a memory like this is kind of debilitating, actually.
Yeah.
Cancer moon stuff. I wouldn't recommend it. Plus side things, land, houses. This could be good for housing market. This could be good for rich baddies who want to manifest their dreams into home ownership or elevating their home life, like getting an extra bedroom, getting a garage, making an art studio in your house. Like expansion in the home things is a good side effect of Jupiter Cancer.
Okay. Ooh, I could use a couple more bedrooms.
I know. I was like, maybe I'll invest in Palm Springs. I've been back and forth with it for a while, but maybe the Jupiter in Cancer will kind of push that over the line. We'll see.
Okay. Interesting. We'll be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
You can report back on the pod
We'll
if
see.
it happens. If and when it happens.
Yeah.
Okay. So that sounds like it's going to be more of like an undertone kind of thing.
Like a buzz in the background, the flavor. It's like, when Pantone's like, here's the color of the year. And they give you like mocha shit brown. And you're like, oh no, like that's going to be the undertone. The Jupiter Cancer undertone is like, bread is baking. You're in grandma's kitchen. It smells like fresh cut grass. You're wearing a white sundress. It's June on a Sunday afternoon. You've got nothing to do. There's beauty in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like where I just like picture you. If I was to picture you in any setting, it would be like what you've just described.
Funny. Yeah, you're probably right.
Like, you're really going to come into your moment here.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I'll just be like barefoot and braless all summer in a white sundress. That would be great.
Absolutely. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Free will.
Good use of free will.
Good use of free will. What is the next astrological event that we need to know about?
This is the Manic Pixie part.
Okay.
We went backwards with these, but because of the ingress of when it happens, it makes sense.
Okay.
So maybe it's Tradwife Manic Pixie. Uranus moves into Gemini. This is a big one. This is the climax of the events of the summer.
Okay.
This is big. Uranus is an outer planet that rules media, technology, innovations, communications, basically all the science, the brain of humanity at the moment. What are we focused on? What are we inventing? What are we working through? What are we optimizing? It's been in Taurus since 2018.
Wow.
You know what's funny about that to reflect? You said DoorDash earlier, and Uranus and Taurus brought us all these food innovations.
Oh, sure. That makes sense.
DoorDash. Just think about like the way that we've approached food almost as like this biohacking thing or like this inventive, like we're eating sea moss and Erewhon smoothies and what else? Like there's all these, everyone's,
spirulina,
all these diets where it's like, I'm keto, I'm vegan, I'm gluten-free. Like all that kind of went mainstream 2018 onward. We've also kind of had some food systems issues and topics come up. Like that's a very Uranus Taurus thing. But Uranus isn't functioning great in Taurus. It's not very happy. It's like you're a part Taurus. You know what that's like. It's like you put the rebellious, unexpected planet of change in a sign that is change resistant. That is two south ends of the magnet. They don't go. Uranus and Gemini is more on brand together. Like that's chaos and chaos. They're like, Manic Pixies. So what are we going to revolutionize with Uranus and Gemini? I'm excited for new social media platforms.
Oh, okay.
New social media norms.
Okay.
We've kind of built culture around certain ways that we do things on the internet. I think it's kind of serious, right? You're a social strategist. Like I always think about how social media feels so serious. People don't really post for fun anymore.
No.
It's like, here's my brand, here's what I'm pushing. And like, I get that. My business relies heavily on Instagram. But are we going to bring back social media for fun? Are we going to bring back social things or invent social things that allow us to connect in real life better? Because that would be cool.
Yeah.
Better forms of meetups and groups and get out of the house things than online. That could be really fun. I'm into it.
Okay. Sounds like a little more work for me personally, but that's fine.
Your job might need to pivot, but it sounds like over the course, think about it, this is a 6-year transit.
Okay. Oh, okay.
We're not going to be out of this until August of 2032, which is a wild number to throw out there. We're not going to be out of that fully until 2032. So you have time to kind of learn new things. I mean, think about how it is when you're first learning any kind of software, right?
Yeah. It's not fun.
Yeah, I don't love that. But I think it will be really good. It's going to be important to find like-minded groups of people who share similar interests and things outside of the ways that you make money. We've talked about this on the show before. It's like, if you want to start really manifesting stuff in your life, you have to also do things that are not just survival needle mover success markers.
And maybe like stop turning all of our hobbies into businesses.
Yeah. That's the thing. You mentioned, you're like, oh, you're so at home in the kitchen with your sourdough. I'm like, I am. I love to bake.
Yeah.
We baked a strawberry loaf recently, and it was really good. I love to bake. Good. I don't ever want to monetize that in a way that I would have to wake up at 4 a.m. and start baking, because I would learn to hate it. I think astrology is the only thing that I can do for a living that I'm not going to get tired of, because you just are constantly learning new things about it. But have multiple hobbies and interests. If you can monetize one of them, that's great, but you don't need to monetize all of them. And I think this transit kind of reminds you of that it's important to have aspects of your identity that are freeing and bring you back into your childhood. Like, what's the point? That's the meme that's kind of going around right now. Is like, this is the whole point.
Yeah.
Find your thing that you're like, this is the whole point.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. That feels like a good, like, switch up, honestly.
Yeah. You know what I'm manifesting for us on a collective level with this transit? High-speed rails.
Ooh.
In the U.S. I want to be a bitch on a train.
You know, do you think that could ever happen here? It's crazy that, like, we're one of the only countries that doesn't have...
Well, we had it. We had a good train system, and then...
800 years ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. Now we have such great technology. I feel what I really, really want selfishly is a rail line that goes from California or from LA to Palm Springs to Vegas.
Oh, there you go.
That would be so great for everybody. Like, how fun would that be?
That would be the great, like, initial location of this rail system. You get everyone on board. They're super excited. People make it a destination. They plan their whole trip.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's like, well, isn't that so great? Now we expand it and do this everywhere.
And there could be so many cute stops along the way in these, what are currently, I make that drive a lot between those cities. And there's a lot of dead land, just desert land. And I'm like, we could make this really cute. And I'm not talking like these stopover towns where it's like a Foot Locker and a Chipotle. Like, we don't want that. No, I'm talking like, when you show up to like a Sedona and you're like, ooh, everything is like that. Everything has this vibe and a feel to it and and character and soul. And, people started these businesses. I think it'd be so cool. I think that'd be great. Like, that's kind of the Gemini nature of this, is like little towns and villages kind of becoming more mom and pop-ish. That
I like
could be
that.
fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, let's just put that out there. High-speed rail.
Unless you're going to build your own rail. I don't know.
I don't really know if I can do that.
It's a little different than my profession currently, but
Just
maybe I could do that. If I have to switch,
Yeah.
I could maybe become an engineer suddenly. Actually, no, I don't want to go back to school. Erase.
No, we're not. It's KJ Atlas, not KJ Atlas Shrugged.
Okay. Anything else with this transit specifically?
No, I just think that it's going to be so different, so fascinating, fun to watch. The way we haven't had a transit like this since the 1940s.
Oh, wow.
We haven't had this transit. And it's really hard to compare life now and then because of the innovations that we have. And so I think every time we have Uranus and Gemini, it is this powerful period of intense innovation. Are there other more negative connotations that if you start Googling Uranus and Gemini, you're probably going to find, because astrologers love writing about that stuff? Yes. And we can't avoid that. But I also like to focus on what do you have in your locus of control. And that is local travel. So like actually using Amtrak. I highly recommend the Amtrak from LA to SLO to SF. It's beautiful.
What's SLO?
The halfway point, San Luis Obispo.
Okay.
It's like, just take the train for fun. You're coastal. Like, you are sitting on the edge of the ocean on the train. And so doing little road trips, doing like that's something you can do within the locus of your control.
Okay.
Joining those groups, getting involved with your hobbies and things outside of the internet. Get out of the house.
Get out of the house.
I have to take my own advice on that.
I mean, and summer seems like a perfect time to do that.
Yeah, of course.
So I peeked at the calendar, and it looks like we also have a Mercury retrograde this summer.
Yeah. We usually do, though.
Say it ain't so.
Yeah. It's okay, though. It's in Leo. I was thinking about this, and I was like, what are the connotations of Mercury retrograde? Well, just brief recap.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Mercury retrograde every, 3-4 months.
Yeah, 3 or 4 a year, right?
Mm-hmm. So it's not that uncommon. They only last for about 3 weeks at a time. Everyone freaks out. It's really not that big of a deal.
I think it's a big deal.
You feel it a lot?
I feel all the time.
I was born under one, so I usually love it as my hermit period where I go into my cave and I just create and I'm like, don't bother me.
Yeah.
But I do empathize with that. I understand because that's kind of how I feel most of the time. Which might be true for you too if you're also a retrograde baby. But this one's in Leo. It's going to affect the fixed. Sorry, Ava.
This is what I'm saying. I feel it all the time.
This one's going to affect the fixies. So Leos, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio. Sorry. We're talking ego trips. We're talking creative projects that you abandon coming back into your life. Tie up things from the last Venus retrograde in 2023 that was in Leo. So we had a Venus retrograde in 2023 from, I wrote down the dates here. It was July 22nd through September 3rd.
Okay.
This was a pretty intense season. I remember that. It was kind of heavy. It was Barbie summer, but it was really weird. It was a nostalgic, kind of emotional, weird. The Lahaina fires happened. I was trying to think what else was going on during that period. Whatever might have happened in your life, from horrific to fantastic, think of this little retrograde period as a time to sort of reconcile, heal, wrap up, tie up loose ends, and put closure on things that might have happened during that cycle 2 years ago.
Okay.
Usually retrogrades in Leo, this is so shallow and stupid, but we're talking about manifesting original Rich-Bixch experiences. I got really obsessed with trying to figure out the perfect hair formula.
Oh, I kind of remember that.
Yeah. And it's funny, it did help me grow my hair a lot because I've always had autoimmune hair issues. And I figured out some crazy hacks and tricks. And everybody's different. It's like your diet,
Yeah.
Everyone needs a different diet. Everyone needs different skincare and hair care products. And so it is kind of one of those times to just experiment with what works for you to make you feel your glowiest, your most inner confidence shining outward. That's what Leo wants us to do, is shine from the inside out.
Right.
And whether it's good moisturizer or you're just up-leveling your career or whatever, find something to glow about.
And there is that weird association of Leo and hair and the lion's mane, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I always, there's something I can never unsee.
What?
Which is the Leo emoji as an Ariana Grande ponytail.
I knew where you're going with that.
So do me a favor, type out a little Leo emoji, text it to yourself or maybe text it to a friend. Tell me if you can ever unsee Ariana Grande's ponytail ever again. That is your fault.
I know.
Because you pointed that out to me. And now every time I see it, I'm like, oh my God, it's Ari.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me because it's we talk about hair and Leo. And
I'm
now it's
sorry. Well, okay, I'm gonna give you another one.
Okay, give me another
I'm gonna
one.
write another one for you.
Okay.
Capricorn looks like no.
Stop.
Go look at it.
Oh.
And if you know a Capricorn in your life, they're gonna say no.
No, it doesn't. No.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, this is a fun little activity for after.
Yeah.
Okay. So the I'm back on track. So Mercury retrograde in Leo, the dates I have here, July 17th to August 11th.
Yep.
So basically the second half of the summer period.
Yeah. We call those the dog days of summer.
Dog days.
Yeah. They're the hottest days,
Yes. Mm-hmm. Especially in LA.
These are turn your phone off, get a popsicle, sit your butt in a pool. Emphasis on turn the phone off.
Uh-oh.
You never know who's going to creep back around.
That's true. So Do we have any other major events for Cancer, Leo, Virgo seasons that we
The
need to dive
last
into?
one I have is the moon wobble.
The moon wobble. What's the moon wobble?
You felt it. You felt it deeply, but you might not know that you have. And it is that period where you're like, why am I hysterical, emotional? Why am is it my cycle? Like, what's happening with me? It's just the moon. And what happens, this happens 4 times a year. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to get really nerdy for a moment. And it's when the sun makes a Hellenistic aspect with the nodes. And Hellenistic aspect is a conjunction, a square, which is a 90-degree angle, or an oppositional 180-degree angle. So it basically makes a square, a 4-pointed square.
Okay.
And you don't need to know this. You just need to know that 4 times a year, this little week happens where you are going to feel like you're having the worst PMS of your life. But you're more likely to feel that if you're a lunar-attuned person.
Got it.
I feel transits so intensely, and it's probably because I'm a Cancer moon and I also track this all the time, but I'll meet people that just do not at all. And kind of what a gift, but also how sad. It's you're kind of numb to it, but also you're numb to it so you can just go about your life and not really notice any sort of energetic shifts and changes. Moon wobbles are one of those big ones. We had a couple this year already, so put your little reverse cap on and go back to these weeks and just reflect on your journal and your text messages. What kind of chaos was going on in your life? And if it wasn't, then congratulations.
What are the dates? Drop the dates.
Okay. June 6th through the 19th. And then prior to that, no, this year, 2025, June 6th through the 19th. And then earlier from that, it was March 11th through the 25th. So everyone felt that one in March. Yeah. We don't need to talk about that anymore. But if you were affected by moon wobble, I'm sending you a big, big virtual hug.
So is there any way to prepare for moon wobble knowing that there's another one coming? Or is it more of just remember it's not you, it's the moon moment?
Yeah, I don't really think there's a way to prepare for it. It's kind of like the emotional wave's coming. It's how do you prepare for, on a serious note, how do you prepare for the luteal phase? It's coming. You have to work through it. You have to feel it. Your hormones are going to drop. You might stock up on Kleenex and chocolates and ice cream and heating pads,
Yeah.
What are the energetic things that you need to get through that kind of energy?
Got it.
Sometimes the hardest part about my job is just telling people, you just kind of have to sit through this. And what's the way that you can make that the comfiest, cutest, and most pleasurable in the process?
Okay. So we have to go through.
Yeah, we have to get through. My favorite moon wobble hacks are not packing my schedule. No social obligations in the evening, unless it's somebody who really fills my cup, unless it's an easy hang, you and I can hang out and be alone, we can turn off and be I really don't have bandwidth right now, but let's just eat this pasta, Yeah. But the friends who kind of drain you, you don't see them during a moon wobble.
Got it.
You don't do things like get married during a moon wobble, where you're dealing with lots of family members' emotions and, big family trips. No, our moon wobble vacations are a solo travel or you and one other person, you go somewhere and chill at a resort, right?
Yeah, you do nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
So moon wobble is September 11th?
That's the peak day. And so there's a build up to that a few days and then a de-escalation from that. So let's just say the 8th through the 14th is the pinnacle of that period.
Okay.
September 11th is the peak.
I kind of don't like that.
I know, that 9/11 vibe.
Feels
weird. That. Yeah.
Should be elevators where they remove the 13th floor.
Yeah.
There's just no September 11th ever.
Yeah, I think as millennials, we really need to remove that from the calendar. We're all traumatized.
We are.
Let's just skip it.
Who can make that happen? Okay. So we've got our solstice. We've got our Chiron. We've got our Mercury retrograde, Uranus and Gemini, the Jupiter, moon wobble. When we were talking about that before the episode, we're like, it's actually really light summer because we're coming off of such a crazy spring. But one of the things that I noticed as I was flipping through the Grove Almanac, which is your calendar plugin, which I'm obsessed with, is that there's a lot, it seems to me that there are a lot of void moons happening in 2025.
Yeah.
And specifically during daytime hours. I feel like last year there were like overnight things a lot of times, and I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to this.
There's not.
I was just looking at the calendar. I'm like, there's void moons everywhere. There's actually a 3-day void moon in July. So I don't think we've ever talked about them on the pod in depth. So I want you to like educate us on void moons, what they are, how we work with them, and then like what the heck's going on this year with void moons.
2025 is the year of long-ass void moons. I knew that when I was building out the Grove for this year. I was like, oh my God. Okay, so there is a reason for that. The fact that it's in the daytime, there's not so much a reason for that.
Okay.
Let's start here. It takes 28 days for the moon to make a lap around the zodiac wheel. That's our monthly lunar calendar. 28 days.
Yep.
It's so easy. It's so natural. It's like 28 days. Of course, it makes sense. It mimics our cycles. Like it's perfect symmetry, right?
Sure.
Well, within that, if you take that wheel and you divide it into 12 sectors, you get your 12 signs. Mm-hmm. And that period, that 28 days divided by 12 gives you about 2.5 days of each sign. Mm-hmm. So the moon is making a circle and it's spending about 2.5 days in each pie slice of the 12 slices. We feel that. We navigate that all the time. You know, that's like at the beginning of the week, you're feeling the intensity of Gemini and fast, and your phone's blowing up and there's so many social plans. And then it goes into Cancer and you're like, I want to go home and take a bath. Like you if you tap into it, you start to notice that energy. Mm-hmm. Avoid, of course, moon. When that moon is going through the sign, like right as we're recording this, the moon's in Cancer. Mm-hmm. When it's in Cancer, today it's going to make a square to Saturn. It's going to make a square to Neptune. It's going to make might make aspects to Mercury. Like it's going to make all these connections to the different planets, kind of like passing it by, you know, like making different angular aspects. And we feel that to some degree. When it gets to the end of the sign and it's done making aspects, like it's done seeing all its friends, I guess you could call it.
Sure.
It's kind of rogue. She wobbling.
Okay.
Not in a moon wobble way, in her own little out of office, I'm done with the day. You know, our corporate baddies might get this one. It's kind of like your boss leaves at 3:00 and you're like, well, I'm just going to sit here for 2 hours and make my grocery list and TikTok and whatever else. Mm-hmm. God bless you. That's a void moon. Okay. Nothing's getting done. Boss is out of office. Nothing is happening. You are just counting down the hours until you get into the next sign. Mm-hmm. Till you get home. And so that void ends when, hypothetically, the moon moves into Leo. Like today. Like we're under a Cancer moon. Tomorrow, when it's done meeting all its friends throughout the journey, it's going to move into Leo. So the next part of that is, why are they so long this year?
Yeah. Why are they so long this year?
What's funny is, so like I said, it's when it goes and meets all of its friends, right? And if the moon is in one sign and it starts at 0 degrees and it goes all the way to 29 degrees, that's 30 degrees. The outer planets last year were all at the final degrees of different signs. Oh. So Pluto has been at the final degrees of Capricorn for the last year. Mm-hmm. Neptune was at the final degrees of Pisces for the last year. And Uranus has been at the final degrees of Taurus for the last year. You know what's funny about those? Is that Capricorn is a cardinal planet, a cardinal sign. Taurus is a fixed sign and Pisces is a mutable sign. So that covers all the signs when we're talking about aspects. And so let's say the moon's in Aries, even till the very end of its travel through Aries, it's still going to meet Pluto before it leaves. So that window of time might be like 10 minutes because it meets Pluto and then it's like, oh, I only got 10 minutes until I'm moving into Taurus, the next sign.
I see.
Now Pluto is in Aquarius, so it's at the 1st degree. And so if there's no signs, if there's no planets hanging out in a cardinal sign, which is the Aries branch of signs, the Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, it's going to be a long void because it's going to have met all its friends at the beginning, and then it's just going to be hanging loose for the rest of the time, not really anchoring to anything is how you can think of it. It's like it's not anchored, it's not connected. There's nothing that's sort of its ally walking along. It's sort of just out of office. We had a long void moon just the other day, and it was such a hard day. It was actually a Saturday, which is weird because you don't really have plans during the day on a Saturday usually. Like there's no structure to the day in the same way. And it was just odd. Like I remember being like, I'm having trouble kind of deciding what I want to do. I don't really have a ton of energy. Plans are kind of falling through. Like I was supposed to go out and meet a friend. Like she couldn't make it. Like, and that happens during a void moon. That's one of the things I always say. Like if you want to schedule something that falls through, schedule it during a void. But if you don't want it to fall through, don't do that. Don't get married during a void moon. Don't kind of treat it like you do retrogrades. Like don't do the important stuff during a void. I will still take client calls during a void.
Okay.
Because it's funny, I was actually born during a void moon, and I feel like that attributes to a lot of my personality. Like I'm just kind of like, and so sometimes I don't really feel it that much. And I think doing the type of work that I do, the void kind of like helps me connect to the ethers, right? Yeah. But I can see how, let's say this, I don't like to do bookkeeping and accounting and scheduling and those kind of things during voids. I like to do my more creative work, my more intuitive work during those times because it's just kind of hard. So I know that I got really rich into jargon and stuff, and that will resonate with a very niche group of people. But that's the best way to explain it, is like it's meeting its friends. It needs something to anchor to. Once it's done doing that, she's rogue. She's out of office. Nothing's happening.
Okay.
And because the outer planets all shifted into new signs, so they're all at the beginning of the sign instead of the end, that's why we have super long ones in 2025.
And so like the signatures of just a void moon is, you kind of touched on it, but it's like tasks not easily completed, plans falling through.
Yeah.
Like, are there any other markers?
Like, you know, those kind of days you wake up and you're like, oh, I stubbed my toe and I got out of bed. And then you get to the kitchen and you're like, oh, I just feel coffee all over myself. Like coffee grounds everywhere. And then like the phone's ringing. And then it's like your friend being like, hey, actually, can I like move those plans to another hour? And you're like, let me look at my calendar. And then you misread the calendar. It's like those kind of, that's void energy.
Got it. So best use is stay home. I mean, I know we can't always do that.
I mean, I actually do try to make it those moments where I'm very like, I am intentionally checking out. I'm intentionally giving my brain a break. I'm moving marathoning, pool sitting, like those intentional rest periods, because it's harder. You don't want to fight it.
So that's one way we can work with them, is like,
yes, and I always try to plan meal stuff ahead of time.
Okay.
That's always the difficult part. Like Bridget and I will be like, what do you want for dinner? Oh, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? You know, and it's like, this is so stupid and like first world and just icky. Like just pick something, but it just doesn't compute. And then you like try to branch out. Don't branch out. Do not branch out. Voids are for your tried and true predictable. So if you're like, yep, not cooking, I'm going to go to the taco place that I consistently pick up from, and I'm going to get the order that I always get. I'm not going to try anything new.
And maybe also like pick your movie or your Netflix show beforehand.
Yeah.
It's that like can't decide, you never decide, and then like you've wasted 4 hours because you can't decide.
Especially like I'm really indecisive with movies and stuff, so I keep a running note in my notes app. It's like movies and shows that I want to watch eventually. You know, maybe it's on a plane, maybe it's during a void moon. And so I'll just go back to that and be like, well, what are these streaming on again? Okay, let's just go back to that classic list and just try not to waste too much time doing useless stuff.
Okay. So void moon, we have a 3-day void moon in July, right?
It spans. It does span into 3 days. It's not fully 3 days, but it does span into the 3 days.
Okay. Do you recall one spanning 3 days? Like in your practice?
No, because this is new.
Yeah.
Like we have had Pluto at the second half of Capricorn since, I don't know, like 2016. Like, I haven't been doing this professionally since then. No, I don't recall one. I could look back and see like the last long one we had. That'd be an interesting sort of addendum to this on social to see like when it actually was. But the last few years, like let's say the last 3 years, there has not been anything that long.
So last week of July, maybe just not the best week for really important shit.
Yeah, maybe you like actually take off and do vacation at home.
Staycation.
Yeah.
It's a perfect staycation week, last week of July.
Or that timeshare that you consistently go back to and like you know it, like the beach house that you're like, I've rented this before.
Got it.
You know?
Tried and true. Okay.
Yeah, no experimentation.
That's so interesting. Thanks for demystifying the void moons.
We will have to talk about that when we get into fall. It'll be interesting to see how some of these have manifested. And maybe I'll ask around people too and be like, what happened to you? What were you doing? How did you handle it?
Everyone write in. Write down what happened during your 3-day void moon. Write in and we will regroup on it in the fall. Okay. That's so interesting. I'm glad that we talked about the void moons because I see them on my calendar all the time. I noticed that they were super long this time. They're in the daytime. I have noticed that energy of just like not feeling like things are happening. So I think for anyone who's just hearing about them for the first time, maybe like it's an interesting thing to read into because you were mentioning earlier, like you will start to notice that you're already feeling this energy. But personally, I always feel like it's like a nice thing to be able to tie it back to something. Because my brain's always searching for why?
Yeah.
Like, make this make sense.
Yeah.
And while that's not necessarily, like, the best way always, it's just, like, what I need. We all kind of
do that, yeah.
And I'm like, this is why.
Yeah.
It's a good...
pressure release.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anything else before we switch gears and talk about our new moons for manifesting this summer?
No, I'm excited to talk about that.
Okay. New moons. So if you're new here, we manifest on the new moon and we release on the full moon. KJ's done a lot of educating on why we do that. But I know that we have a few, I think 3 new moons happening in the summer period. And I want to go through the theme for each of these, the timing for each of these, and maybe like the best things we can manifest on the Cancer new moon, the Leo new moon, and the Virgo new moon.
I love that.
Okay. Take it away.
You know what I think we should also do?
What?
Is include one thing that each of us wants to manifest on each of these, almost as like an accountability.
Okay.
You
Let's
down?
do it. Let's do it. I'm down.
Okay. Because here's the thing. If you say out loud to your circle of friends, your best friends, your partner, whatever, the thing that you want to manifest, it always works so much better. Because it's scary to say things out loud.
It is. Okay. I'm done.
Okay.
We'll do it.
Okay. The first one is Cancer. June 25th.
Okay.
I love this one because it is with Jupiter.
Okay.
So Jupiter, planet of luck, abundance, expansion, your belief systems. This one's like the go big or go home one.
Okay.
Especially because the moon is at home in Cancer. So it's very potent and powerful and mystical. And themes of a Cancer new moon that you might bring into your goal setting and intention setting and manifestation are home, family, safety, your spirituality, especially from like a intuitive sense, comfort, your story, Artists, writers can really benefit from Cancer energy. One thing I always like to do is if you do know more about your birth chart, look and see the house. There's 12 little houses of the chart.
Yeah.
To see what house Cancer is in. So that's where the new moon will happen. And I have all kinds of resources on this. But it always depends on your rising sign. So go from your rising and then count to 12 and see like where Cancer is. But like for me, it's in my 8th house of other people's resources and contracts. And so I'm like, maybe there's some type of favorable contract to manifest in. I think what I want to manifest with that is a literary agent. So if you're watching this, hit me up.
Okay, so that's your Cancer new moon manifestation. Okay. Gonna be writing a book, bestie?
Yeah, we've already started, but we need the right people.
That's exciting. Okay, this is a lot of pressure. I would say now I don't know which house, whatever.
It's in your in your house of media and podcasting.
Oh, okay.
Community.
So, okay. Maybe then for this new moon, I will manifest welcoming new listeners into the More Pod fam.
Yes. Come hang out with us.
Yes. Okay.
All right. That wasn't so bad, right?
No.
Okay.
But you helped me out because I didn't know the house. So
that's okay. Well, we can do that. We can look at it.
All right. So that's the Cancer new moon, June 25th.
And so here's the thing. The things that you put into motion at this date or the day after, do it the day after. Don't do it the day before. That's a rule. Will come to full circle fruition January 3rd, 2026. You might see some results before then. I hope you do. But that's kind of like this culmination point where you stop and turn around and check in on the thing that you put into motion June 25th, 2025.
Perfect. Lovely. And then we have a Leo new moon.
Yay.
In
July 24th.
July 24th.
This one's super fiery. I mean, Leo is fiery, but it's also connected to Saturn and Neptune. This one is like, you want to take action. You want to dive in. You're so passionate with ideas and stuff. But it is during a Mercury retrograde. So I always say, before you take the leap and get ahead of yourself and break your neck, pause, make sure it's really what you want, and then tie into it after the retrograde, August 11th. But you can still put stuff into motion. My teacher, Jen Spiller, always said, make sure your wording is true. Like, this is one of those, like, be careful what you wish for kind of things. Where you don't want to say, I have a friend who was like, maybe I'm down to get a dog or a pet. And then she gets a stray feral cat at her door. And he's like, you're my mom now. And she's like, oh, yeah, I did put that out there. So,
but like, it wasn't as specific as maybe they wanted.
Yeah, so you want to be very specific about your words.
Okay.
With this one.
Okay, so themes again, I forgot.
Leo. So we're talking being a star, being a leader, stepping up into your creative power, being seen. Being seen is a big one. It can be as silly and shallow as like hair goals, right? And then depending on the house that it's in for you. So for me, it is my 9th house of publishing. So I am going to double down on the book thing and then also think about calling in article placements, like other publishing things, other media. I want to get back into writing more. That was like how I started doing this work. I was writing and now it's all speaking instead of writing, but I want to do more of both. Yeah. So more writing involved projects. That's what I want. And for you, it's your 4th, home, family, foundations, domicile, your space, your sanctuary. So you can go in that direction or you can go in Leo, leadership, creativity direction.
Okay. Well, when you say home, I've been working on furnishing my place in LA for, feels like centuries. And I feel really like eager to come to like a place where I feel like it's finished. Although, things can always switch up with time. Yeah. But I will go ahead and say I am manifesting like the completion of like my initial cycle of furnishing my home in LA. I think that would feel really good.
I love that. Mm-hmm. And
has everything that I need, all the comforts, nothing more, but just everything that I need.
A Taurus dream.
Yeah.
I love that for you.
Thanks. And I love the article publishing for you.
Yay, and so it is.
And so it is. Look at us.
So those will come together February 1st, 2026 at their culmination.
Okay.
And then we have the Virgo one.
The Virgo new moon.
We really spent a lot of time talking about Cancer and Leo because there's a lot happening in those seasons. But we always kind of forget that Virgo is a part of summer. It's the end of summer.
Yeah. I always think it's fall.
Yeah. You know what I noticed in Virgo? Personally, I just really love Taurus through Leo seasons. It's so free and fun. And Virgo in this part of the world, the United States of America, the sun turns to a burnt umber color. It's like orangey. And something happens in my brain when I see that. And the 7-year-old in me has a panic attack knowing that school's about to start again.
There is that like back to school vibe always.
Yeah, it's a little crisp.
Yeah.
It's a little orange and you're like, ugh.
You're like, summer's over.
We're about to plunge into the darkness.
Yeah.
And as someone who does this work, I'm like, we have to go through the whole cycle of all the seasons, but also it's okay to have a favorite season.
Or least favorite season.
Yeah. Virgo, you know what I do love about Virgo season as a time stamp? It's like clean up your act. Get your life together. If Leo is the feral party till 3 a.m., Virgo is your hangover regimen where you're like, oh, God, I need to clean the house and I need a Coca-Cola and I need to go to sweat this out at the gym. Like, I need to organize my life, make a plan, and be a clean girl again. Balance. We need both of those things.
We do.
So this is your high fiber colon cleanse. You know what I usually do during Virgo season?
What?
I take my acrylic nails off and let them breathe.
Interesting.
I hate it. If you're not used to it, it's like it's good for your nail beds, but you're like your nails are thin. You're like this is raw, but it's like it's kind of the break that your body needs in all ways. And so maybe it's usually a time when I'm like, I'm going to completely do like no gluten and just do high fiber for a while just to try to like reset my system and get back into homeostasis. You know, people are all about dry January. I'm like, what about a dry Virgo season?
Dry September. Interesting.
To kind of you're preparing for the ruckus of the holiday season and all the parties, and you're kind of in between summertime of vacation and stuff, and so why not dry September?
Yeah. So then would the new moon themes for Virgo be around like health and routines?
Yeah, I think they absolutely can be. Okay. It's a great one. Organization, getting your life together, all the things that you think you want to do in January, you can also really tie into them in Virgo season. So late August, early September. It's always funny because that's literally back to school season for everybody, mostly. One year, I think it was like 3 years ago, I did like a garlic candida cleanse. It was horrific. I don't recommend.
It sounds brutal.
But it was like my naturopath was like, I think you need this. This is going to be good for you. And I did need it, but
you just pop in garlic?
It's in a pill form. Like, you will smell like garlic for an entire month. But,
then you have to go through the process of sweating it out.
Oh, yeah. It's like a full body. Like, just don't. But
unless you have to.
Yeah. I've been through the autoimmune rigmarole. So, like, you try a lot of things. But I swear, after going full circle with all that stuff, my favorite detox is just, like, eat beans 4 times a day and drink a gallon of water. I'm serious. That's the best detox you can do. Eat beans 4 times a day, drink a gallon of water, and put a whole lemon in it. Like, that's all you need. Like, you really don't need expensive colon cleanses, colonics, like detox juices. You really don't.
Wow.
I have a BS in nutrition. I promise you, this is all you need.
I know. I'm just shocked. It could be that easy.
It really can. Yeah, that might be a Virgo season intention. And so for me, it's in my 10th house of career, but I also really love the bodily focus of Virgo. And I think it depends on kind of where I'm at with Virgo season, but I really do want to anchor in habits, better habits that are helpful for my mental health and success and progress and career. And I'm going to leave it up to the possibility of what that might be at the moment. Because I think I'm doing pretty good with habits right now. But I'm like, let's see where we're at come that time. And I'll cement that in stone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to make bigger promises of no self-sabotage when it comes to being that girl and showing up physically and mentally and in precision.
That's honest. That's good. Okay.
For you, it's your 5th house, which is also fun, pleasure, dating, creativity.
Well, that's not till September.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I'll start dating again, but then I have to wait till September.
No. We're not wasting summertime on that.
We're not wasting summertime. I mean, I could piggyback off of you in the sense that, like, I could definitely stand to anchor in some more routines. I feel like I've just not been in any routine at all.
Yeah, you've been traveling nonstop and just kind of going all over the place and stuff. So
I've been everywhere all at once. And so one of my routines I'd like to get back into is my morning pages journal.
yes, that's a good one for this.
Doing that every morning. I used to do it every morning. And then I kid you not, like, I took 6 months off.
Okay, Julia Cameron.
So that would be a good one. And then I also would like to do more walks outside.
I love that.
And I did find a route that's like almost exactly 10,000 steps.
That's
So
smart.
like, there we go.
Okay, those are good. These are good.
Okay.
Subject to shift as Virgo mutable energy allows.
Sure.
But you know what's kind of interesting to think about this, and you can start thinking of seasons this way, is like Cancer season is the start, the summer solstice. That midsummer, Leo, dog days, is like you're stabilizing in the summer heat, like you are in it. And then Virgo is that mutable inching your way out and transitioning into something else. And every season has that beginning, middle, and end. And that energy shift of like, we're in it, let's go. Oh, now we're here, let's camp out. Oh, let's transition out of it. And when you kind of, I think if the only thing you do is tap into that and then do your new moon intentions, you are being that girl. You're doing it.
And so we can write them down. Wait, did we go over Virgo new moon timing?
It is August 22nd.
Okay.
And then it culminates March 3rd, 2026.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to write down our new moon manifestation.
No retrograde on that Virgo one either. So
Okay.
we don't have to be
it's
as careful
clear.
with our words.
There we go. Although we always could be.
And it's
Just in
always
case.
better to write your intentions down on paper. There's something magical about like, I think our hands cast spells when we write. Yeah.
I mean, I know I definitely remember things more when I write them down.
Oh, yeah.
Even versus like typing. If
Right.
I'm taking notes or something, I'm always writing.
Right. Like, even just, our topics for today, like, I wrote it down in my crazy serial killer handwriting, but it's like it cements in your brain when you do that.
Yeah.
And I think it's really powerful in the goal setting and intention setting process of making your life happen for you. Like, at the end of the day, nobody's going to come save you. Like, go make it happen for yourself.
Yes. That part. Absolutely. Okay. How do we tie the bow, close the door on summer? How do we round it out? Anything else that you would like us to know heading into this season?
When I tap into the future me who's existing through this, I feel an energy that's just like so psychotically, why the hell not? Like, just look your dreams dead in the eyes and be like, It's going down, sugar. Let's go. It's almost like when times are crazy, like be crazier. That's kind of how I feel about this. It's like we're going through this transient shift. Everything's kind of changing at this point. Like, is the end of the world? No, but it is probably the end of the world as we know it and have known it for a little while. And I think when we feel that, everyone starts to talk about literal endings of the world, and I just don't think we're there. I don't think we're going to feel that, but it is that sort of extinction burst of like, we're losing the things that we had.
Yeah.
And I think when that's going on, the best thing you can do is just be radically excited about the things that you're creating in that second half after the burst, after the shift and the change. I think it's going to be a fine summer, especially compared to what we've navigated already through the winter and the spring. Those were hard seasons to talk about and live through.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I like that. Very inspiring. Making the most of what we have.
Yeah.
Do you have anything coming up that we need to know about before we wrap up?
I have no idea where my life is going to be by summertime, truthfully. Like when I tap into that, because I'm on the precipice of so much transition and shift, and I look at my transits, I'm a 1-degree Gemini, and I'm like, oh, Uranus is just going to come sit on my sun. And I'm like, okay. And I sit and I think about it at least once a day. And I'm like, what's this going to bring? And that's the thing about Uranus is you just can't really predict it. You just know that there's going to be a big change and shift in your life. And so this is the first time I'm just going to say, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to be offering to the world that you can purchase. I don't know what I'm going to be creating. I don't know where I'm going to be traveling. I hope that I'm in Europe for a stint this summer. That's what I'm aiming for. But, you know, I hope I'm still here doing astrology. And
you better be.
That's my plan is like, you know what? I'm just taking it day by day, week by week, moon cycle by moon cycle, and just riding the wave.
Wow.
And I usually don't live in that level of surrender.
No. It's very freeing.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, then I can't wait to see. Well, I would love for you to spend some time in Europe this summer.
Yeah.
And selfishly, maybe myself as well. But yeah, I guess I don't know.
I think that's kind of the exciting part about this is that this, especially this Uranus Gemini energy, is just so experimental and like, what's it going to be? What's the possibility? You know, it's kind of hard to think about if you went back to 2008 and you were like, what's an Instagram DM? You know, it's like you can't really explain things that don't exist yet. And I feel like that's what we're going into is I can't really explain things that don't exist. Like, who knows? Maybe we're going to be like creating like AI avatars of ourselves that live in this other domain and we like log on like Sims and we like interact with each other. I don't know. I mean, that feels really dystopian and strange, but that's what I mean is we just don't know because it doesn't exist yet.
And I think it's just like the fact that I'm sitting here thinking about, like I actually don't really know either. Like it just kind of like confirms that there is like things are happening, but they're like under the surface right now. We don't know exactly what's happening.
It's a flux.
Yeah.
And I feel at peace with it personally. But I'm immutable like that.
Yeah.
You guys will come around. You'll be okay.
Fixed signs are the best sign. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you just have to have something. You need to have your own things to anchor to.
Yeah.
Your own little consistencies.
Yep.
Maybe it's like, you know, you're like, every Tuesday night, I'm going to make this turkey bolognese. And that's what we're going to do every Tuesday night. You know, have that kind of like, I couldn't do it, but maybe if you're a Taurus or another fixed sign, maybe that's what you should do is have like kind of a semblance of routine or a ritual that you stick to anchor you in this kind of fluxy season.
Okay. That's good. Immediately, I thought about my single-serving pandemic cookie that I used to bake on Saturdays. And I was like, wait, that is not the energy I want to be living in.
It is until Virgo season.
But that was more like a survival mechanism. I don't want to go all the way there. We don't have to go quite to survival.
To doggone a coffee.
We'll just say TBD. No, TBD. No.
TBD.
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 To be determined.
Yeah.
And with that, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah.
KJ, thank you so much for joining me, for giving us the summer astrology guide, for giving us a lot of things to think about, look forward to, meditate on, resources. And I just appreciate your energy. I'm so glad that you joined me in the studio today. And I'm really just happy to have you in my life. And I feel really grateful that I get to help share your gifts with other people.
Don't make me emo in public. I love you.
I love you.
Don't forget to look up.
There you go. Thanks, KJ. Listen to the More Pod every Wednesday as I share the things that make me more me and discover a thing or two to make you more you.